Hello everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I am Vanchika and today I'll be diving into the Autodesk Construction Cloud once again. And this time I'll be focusing on a specific module that I get loads of questions about, and that is model coordination. So let's understand a brief about what model coordination is exactly. So this module, that is model coordination within the Autodesk Construction Cloud, it is one of the most powerful features that will allow project teams to upload, to review, and actually detect clashes between 3D project models. It also creates coordination spaces where models are automatically checked for clashes and issues can be managed and assigned. So this process entirely helps us to streamline workflows by ensuring that all the project members have access to the latest models and can collaborate effectively to resolve any conflicts. Not just that, when I get questions regarding is it something that I can use to create federated models, that is also a use where people do use model coordination for, or it can be utilized for. So actually, let's dive in and understand how model coordination can help us with our construction projects respectively, right? So this is what my interface for the Autodesk Construction Cloud looks like. I'm in the docs module, something which we did cover a little on the previous video. Today we'll be going to model coordination, and this is what my model coordination interface will look like. Now this is something that I've already created certain coordination spaces for. Let's see what these are. So at the first, I will have to create a coordination space to get started with model coordination, right? Now what is a coordination space? This is nothing but you adding in different models, you adding in either different disciplines to actually run those clashes or checks between certain models, right? So let's say I put in coordinated architecture and structure models. That's what my coordination space name is. Now I select which files do I want to add into this coordination space. It can be either specific to disciplines, it can either be all of these models that I would want to run in over here. The best and the ideal way to do it over here is that you add your shared folder. What this will allow in is that whatever models have been shared with different disciplines and different stakeholders within this particular project, all of them will be stored in this particular folder right here. So what this will help is that at any given point of time, the most updated file will be running the clashes over here. That is the ideal way for you to proceed. Let's go and share itself. I'll go and click on create. So as soon as I do that, it will create that coordination space for me. Now, once this has been done, I go back to my models over here. And what I can see over here is that all of the coordination spaces that I've created over here will be visible. So this is the one that I've just created. I can quickly open that up. And all of the models that are there within the folder that I've selected. Now, in this case, I've selected the shared folder, right? So all of the models that are there within that particular folder, I will be able to see over here. Now, let's say I would want to run clashes between only a few models, right? So I can select that. Let's say there's a structural model as well. I have framing, columns, and foundation. So what I will say is that I've selected these ones. I would want to say open in viewer. Now, as soon as I do that, I will be able to see only these models that I've selected associated with the project that I've selected, right? Over here, you can see only the models that have been selected are reflected in this case. So I have a model browser. I can select a particular discipline to visualize over here. I can either turn off a particular model within this, which you can see how it has affected. I can do all of those categorizations. That is one way to filter out the views that I'm looking at. Second is if there are any clashes. I will come back to this one later on because there's a better method for us to run the clashes here. So what I can do is, let's say I'm satisfied with the disciplines that I would want in this model. I can simply go and click on save view. Now, let's say I give it a coordinated view name and I keep it private to myself for now and click on save view. This view is now saved for me over here, as I can see. Now I have a separate section here that is called as views. Once I go to views, I can see this is one view that I've just saved. I will be able to see that over here. So what happens if I click on this view? I have now created a specific space where only these models that I've selected in with the filters that I've applied in will be there. I need not go back and create the same view again and again once this is something that is required in. So now what I can do over here is that I would like to run the clashes between these two. One of them will be the primary model and one will be with which those clashes will be run. So I can see this one is my primary model. I have the option to make any other as the primary model, and the remaining models which are there, they all become the models with which the clashes are going on. Now I can see over here that there are all of these clashes, 305 clashes in total. So let's say I would want to view just one. I can see what is that clash. Now there can be an instance that this might not be a clash for me. So I can say that this is not an issue. I will specify a reason, say valid interface and go okay. So that's not an issue anymore. I can see the number of clashes have reduced down. The other thing is, these are something that might not even be an issue for me. I don't want to go through each one of them and say not an issue, right? So what I can do is I can set a particular tolerance level as well. So here, say I say anything above 20 mm, only that is something that will be considered a clash, or 30 mm is something that will be considered a clash. You can see the number of clashes have come down drastically when I have increased in this tolerance level. So that is one way for you to actually set up and run the clashes between the models that you've selected in this particular view. All right. So what happens, say there is one clash that you would want to be resolved and you would want to assign it to somebody. I can see this is a clear-cut clash for me. So I will say create an issue out of this. The same options that we did discuss in the previous video about creating issues, I will have over here as well. I'll say clash and I can say this is the one that I would want to resolve. Now the same thing, I can add information to this particular clash that I've created in, the issue that I have created in. So I can enter in a description, which it automatically does. I can assign it to a particular person. I can select watchers, specify a due date. Let's say today would be the due date. I can specify a start date as well. All of these this information is something that I can provide it over here. Once that is done, it will work in the similar way any other issue will work like, right? So that is about you creating views, selecting models to create those specific views as well. Now, the same thing exactly is applicable to when people say that you might want to create a federated view or you might want to create a coordinated view. So what happens is that you select your architectural model, you select your structural model, since these are the two models or the two disciplines with which you want to create a coordinated view for or a federated view for. So you select those and create a view out of it, the same way that we did over here. Once that view is created in, you will be able to visualize that models over here itself, right? So this was about you selecting in models, you select creating views. The next thing that we see over here is called as clashes. This is nothing but something that will give you a matrix which will run clashes between one of the primary models and all the other models that are there within the coordination space that you've just created. So it will pick up each individual model and create it as a primary model and run clashes with it with all the other models. So let's say I have the Snowdon model that I'm running a clash check for. I can see 3 clashes over here. I can go click on this 3 number over here and I will be able to see what these 3 clashes exactly are. Now same thing is that I can actually decide if these are clashes or not. Maybe these are not clashes at all. Say 20 to 30 mm up, only those are the ones that will be considered as clashes. That is my tolerance level. I can see only one remains. Now this, if this is an issue, I again go and say it's an issue, assign it, create the or put in the information which is associated with this issue and assign it to the person responsible. So that's what my clash matrix does. So we've talked about actually setting in tolerance levels as well, right? For running the clashes or maybe mitigating certain excess clashes as well. There is something called as rules as well, which you can actually set up over here. You can, let's say there are certain objects that you would want to exclude entirely from the clashes, right? Or there are certain models that you would want to exclude entirely from the clashes. So that is something that can be done from over here. Let's say I go to a model or object exclusion. First thing is models. Let's say there are some models I don't want. I select those models and I will say turn clash off. Automatically, these models will not be checked for clashes. That is one thing. Similarly, if I go to object exclusions, I can actually create an object exclusion by selecting one of the models, go to next and specify the rules that are associated with that. So it's that easy for us to actually create object exclusions, model exclusions, set up rules on the basis of, see, so I can go and say add a rule, and on the basis of that rule, that's something that will be run, or on the basis of that rule is what my clash check will run in over here. So that's a major idea I wanted to give in and cover on about creating a coordination space first of all, then selecting the models that I would want to run or create a view out of. Within the views, I can create federated views, or I can run in more detailed clash checks. And third is actually going through this clash matrix that I have over here and setting up rules at the same time. So these are the three major steps you can follow to actually create a federated model or run clashes, create issues within the models that you've selected in as well. For today, I will end it over here itself. For the further videos, we'll also talk about all of these remaining modules, although these are pretty easier to understand once you go through them, creating new things or corresponding